Back of My Mind by H.E.R. 21 songs, an hour and 19 minutes long. H.E.R., a really popular like neo pop artist, has just like been killing it since she came out on the game in 2017. I used to know her in 2019, was also really good. And Back of My Mind is an example that, yes, you can truly have too much of a good thing. Because the songs in here are pretty decent, it's fine, but because it was
It's a
such a
long ass
long
album.
ass album, such a drawn out release, um, yeah, things just started to really blur together.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. The opening track, we made it. Ironically, we made it podcast. No, we made it the opening track. I really enjoyed. I listened to that a lot. I think it's a fantastic opener. It's one of those songs that I like that just kind of builds and builds, and it's just gorgeous. You have a nice little guitar solo at the end. It's a little bit long for a piece, but I like that. Then there's some other good stuff in here. Back of My Mind featuring Ty Dolla Sign's okay. Trauma featuring Corday, not YB, like non YBN Corday.
Yeah.
Um, and then after that, it started to, at least for me, kind of stay at one level of that I wanted to have a little bit more variation. But then throughout the album, it kind of just stuck at one level, like it got capped more or less, where it didn't feel like it was trying to pop out at me, but it never did. It was capped at one kind of sound for it. And especially towards the middle, past like My Own and Lucky around the 10th song, that's when for me it started to really go on a bit, where you had a lot of those middle to end tracks that you honestly could have done without, to make it a bit more cohesive and a bit more just a bit shorter, so that way you can get more of the substance of it, because there's a lot of good sounds in here. um, you have the Bloody Waters with Thundercat, which I thought was pretty good too. You could definitely hear Thundercat's influences in there with the production of it, the drums, bass, everything. You could really tell his influence in there. I don't know why you're doing sounds of Chris Brown in 2021, but okay, there's apparently Chris Brown on there. Lovely.
We've
Why you
gotten to
work with the beater, who knows?
the latest thing is that Chris Brown was a child when he was above the age of 18 and beating the dog shit out of Rihanna. And so bygones is bygones, past is past. We can move on. I just I don't believe that narrative, because like
I don't either.
the same people who are saying that are the same people who said XXXTentacion was innocent, and the anniversary of his death a couple days ago remains hilarious to me. So that's where that stands.
Exactly. The
But
same people who throw a dog whistle at you. But
yeah,
anyways,
on that point, and worse than dog whistle and catcalling, like especially now with COVID protocols being unrestricted, hashtag no politics, there's been an even more of a rise in like domestic violence against women, but hashtag no politics. To segue off of that point, I can appreciate that this is a feature light album. The features are sort of only there when
yes,
it makes sense, and
and they work well together too. All the
yeah.
features as well.
That yeah, very well together. I think even the artists that I don't necessarily like, your Lil Babies, your Chris Browns, your DJ Khaled's and Bryson Tillers, I think they work together on her song and didn't overpower her and just like let her do her amazing, like incredible work. So I really appreciate that for sure. But and I'll also say this, which is good before I start to like get to my criticisms, which is for a lot of albums where they are very long and there isn't a lot of range in the songs, there is actually range in like the lyricism and what's being talked about. It still has this, it's a neo pop album. It's going to be about love in some way, and the tropes are kind of gone over in a lot of different ways. But H.E.R. is really good lyrically at keeping it sounding a little fresh and a little different and a little more like natural and personal as well. Her lyricism just like really something to be regarded in a lot of different songs. Even when you see it in I don't remember the lyrics top of my head, but there's songs like Processor. Hold on is the one I'm thinking about, especially.
Yeah,
Near the Bottom. That is just really pretty sounding.
it's great. Yeah.
And it really kind of shows off the best of what H.E.R. can be as an artist. But it's
Gets
one of the
overshadowed
yeah.
by the amount of saturation that's in the album, because that's the thing that I was trying to like just articulate, is that you have a lot of good substance in here. It's just when you get to that big chunk, there's so much filler, so much things around that detract from the other tracks, so then you can't appreciate it as much as you would if those tracks weren't there.
Yeah. It's That's exactly right, honestly. It's just that I could have appreciated this album at 40 minutes and it could have been stellar and album of the year. 45 minutes,
Yeah,
hell, 50,
100%.
honestly. But, and again, here's the other thing. Yeah, some of these songs are filler, like they definitely didn't need to be here. But even as filler songs, they aren't bad. Like H.E.R.'s got an incredible amount
No,
of
they're
talent. They're
great.
great
They're good.
songs.
Yeah, they're good songs. As I was saying, you could save those tracks. You make an amnesiac a year later, be like, hey, these didn't fit on the album. We didn't want it to be, an hour and 20 long or whatever it is. You save those for later, or you release them as a B-sides or things of a second roll, whatever it is. So that way you don't detract from all the amazing work that you have, and let the great work, sustain later.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that like her albums generally do come in around like an
I
hour
mean,
12. I think an hour 12 for both of them recently. So this is a kind of general sort of thing. But I mean, it shouldn't be, right? Like it should just be artists should feel comfortable, especially in this day and age where like artists are getting it done in 38 minutes and making stellar projects. They should feel comfortable, especially when they are mature artists who know exactly what they're doing, to, yeah, put out like just 40, 45 minutes of your best stuff. Actually feel out like where you can cut here and feel free
yeah,
to release things later. Really, you only do this when your record label is like, we're going to stream and playlist hack and get like the largest album possible so we can try to get you the most streams and most
yep,
money. I think there are a lot of
naturally.
different ways of doing that, but that's a lot of what this podcast is about. Um, I do love that at the very end there's DJ Khaled and YG, two Audioface favorites, making cameos at the end. But yeah, overall, if you like her, you'll like this album. But I would even challenge her fans to think about how
Yeah,
much
yeah,
her this really is and how much her is necessary in one sitting in one piece. This is an albums review podcast, so there's always that.
yeah,
Arbitrary
for sure.
scale this week is federal holidays. Joe Biden became, I believe, one of the first presidents since Eisenhower to sign into law a federal holiday. Black people are up too. We got Martin Luther King and Juneteenth as a federal holiday. No, I'm just kidding. It's important because I think a lot of people in the American educational system weren't even taught about Juneteenth. I wasn't taught about it except for my grandmother, who was a little bit cagey about certain parts of her past, but I reason to believe that some parts of her family may have been like, run out of at least the Oklahoma era due to like race riots that were happening around that time. So like it was just something that was told by me and part of like history that I understood from my family. And so in a non-cynical way, it's nice to see that there is a Juneteenth holiday now that people can maybe get off
Hmm.
and have a break for, even though of course it's not like that's the end of any sort of struggle for racial justice for Black people in this country. Hashtag no politics. Anyways, we're gonna pick our favorite federal holidays here. And yeah, this has to be a federal holiday, so you have to get it like a day off. It has to be a bank holiday.
A bank holiday. Okay, cool.
I can't move
Shit.
money on one of these days. It has to be like a legit day.
All right, this is a solid. Back in the day, right? Or how when we were school children, they have like Lincoln and George Washington's birthday.
Yeah.
So this is a solid Washington's birthday, George Washington's birthday.
Yeah.
So,
President's Day. I think they have that.
yeah, I think now it's President's Day or something.
Yeah, it's like we used to get
Whatever.
that off, and then we just like stopped getting that off. I wonder. It's like one of those they half-ass the things.
Yeah, who knows?
I'm still feeling a little bit No Chill Island. I'm gonna be a little edgy here. This is the
Oh,
real Independence Day, the real Emancipation Day, the 4th of July.
there
When
we
Candace
go.
Owens' ancestors in 1776 were allowed to roam America freely. Everyone remembers that day. It was really beautiful, and we love it.